So what I was thinking is maybe instead of focusing specifically on scales and how to get crazy, exotic notes in the beginning, I'd like to focus on the first half on rhythmic phrases and how to present melody. So the first thing I wanted to just talk about is thinking about a grid when we're playing. It's going to sound super clinical, but don't Fred. I'm not trying to turn everyone into jazz cats. So when I'm playing, I'm trying to feel the music in 3 different ways, at least. So that's 8th notes, that's 16th notes, and that's triplets. So just pure honesty, how comfortable does everybody feel with 8th notes, triplets, and 16ths? People know, yeah, feeling good?
I know of these things.
Yeah, totally. Okay, cool. That's great. How about you?
Yep.
Nice. And you guys? Cool. So let's just do a quick review. So what I kind of want to, I guess what we can start with is if we have 4 beats in a bar, we have a bunch of different ways that we can divide these beats. So the first kind of one that I'd like to cover is just 8th notes, and all 8th notes is when you have that beat divided into 2. So if this is my beat, and I were to play some 8th notes, we're going to have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Everyone good? We're crushing it, guys. We're crushing it. Okay, next one, triplets. So this is our beat again. So now triplets are when we divide the beat into 3. So we're going to do, and I'll count out loud, so triplet, 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 triplet. And if you want to kind of play along the triplet part, don't feel like you need to throw that beat in the bottom. That's just for reference. So maybe let's all just play some triplets on the open A string. Cool? So 2, 3, triplet, 4, triplet, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, let's do 8s. 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and let's do triplets. 3, 4, triplet, 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 triplet. Okay, we're crushing it. 16th notes is the next division. So that's 4 notes in one beat. So how you count that is you're going to go 1 E and up. 1 E and up. So again, if this is my beat, I'll just demonstrate first and we'll play it. We'll be going 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. Everyone making sense? I'll count us in. Let's do it together. 3, 4, 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E. Perfect. I'm running out of breath. That's great. So let's just talk about why is that important, and also talk about how I feel and you guys can tell me if you feel this way too. When I was first learning this stuff, one of my biggest concerns was that it was going to take away musicality. It's going to make me into a jazz robot or something, which is not many people want to be a jazz robot. Some people do. Sometimes I want to be a jazz robot. But we can kind of chat about why that grid is important without necessarily feeling like we need to be thinking 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 while we're playing. So one of the biggest things that I'd kind of say is a nice advantage of feeling that is that you can take existing licks that you already have and start to approach them differently. So for example, let's say I'm playing a little bit of a blues here. That's my lick. 2, 3, 4. Cool? So if I'm doing that, I just have 3 notes, right? If we have a good grasp of that grid of 16ths, 8s, and triplets, we actually don't have 1 phrase, we have 3, right? So if I'm going, quick question, this, you guys know what grid that's based off of? What rhythm am I using there?
A shuffle.
It's a shuffle. It's like an 8th note, right? But what is a shuffle 8th note? Triplets, right? So if we think about, when we're listening to blues, this, triplet, 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 we're just hitting the first and last part of a triplet, right? So if I kind of go, maybe I'll put it on a 16th note grid. So now we've got 2 licks, technically 1, but 2 ways to present it, right? Here's another kind of thing we can do is if we have awareness of that grid again, instead of going, okay, I'm going to put it in the same spot, you can go, okay, well, I think I'm going to put that on beat 2, on the upbeat. 1, 2, 2. Maybe on beat 1, 3, 4. So it's the same phrase. Like, that's the thing that I think is super important to know, is I'm not doing anything different. The only thing that I'm doing is using an awareness of a time feel, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, triple it, 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4, and then choosing where I want to place a lick, and choosing how I present that. Does that make sense? Dope. Okay, cool. How do we practice this stuff? That's a very important thing. So, what I recommend is like doing what we just did, but maybe with a metronome. So if you have a click, something like that, just seeing if you can. What am I playing right now? 8th, perfect. Triplets, right? So just seeing if you can get comfortable going between them and actually like making a groove. That's all we really want to do, is make a groove, right? So that'd be the first thing. Second thing I would do is take a scale. So is there a scale that we all know? Like, what if I said A minor pentatonic? We all kind of have that down. Sick. Okay. So if I was to count us in, or we don't need to do this right now. I'll kind of demonstrate first. So maybe the first thing I do is with the click, go. Let's do 8 notes first. One thing I want you to focus on is getting your time to feel really consistent and getting your notes to feel consistent. I think that's like one of the really tough things is when you're first like approaching something is not hitting some notes unintentionally louder than others. Especially on downbeats, I find like if I'm playing a phrase, like I'll play a phrase real quick, I'm gonna accent every downbeat, and you can see it just kills the groove. That's not Stevie Ray Vaughan, you know? And even if you do fancy licks, but highlighting those downbeats on it. You hear how the groove is like not there? So when you're practicing, and this is like I hear everyone, including myself, has done it before. When you switch strings, it just doesn't groove. So when you're practicing this grid, see if you can try to get a nice consistent sound. Here's a weird question. When I'm playing louder, what is causing the note to come out louder? This tripped me out when I first kind of thought about it. So if I go like this, that loud note, what physically is happening with my hands to make it louder? You guys know?
Faster.
Ah, okay, that's what I would think. Say it again?
Getting it harder with it.
Yeah. So that's another great one. But when you think about it, if I'm being consistent with my time, if I start thinking about how fast my hand's going to move, or trying to like hit it harder, I guess. Well, we'll come back to that.
Yeah.
If I do that, no, that's perfect. My rhythm's going to get messed up if I'm trying to speed up my right hand while keeping consistent 8ths, right? So what it is again, this tricked me out. It's holding your pick tighter. So everyone just do this for a second. Play 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And then let's go on beat 3. Just hold your pick tight for a second. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. So it has nothing to do with changing the speed of your hand. And when you say pick harder, that's what's happening.
That,
yeah.
It's not because you're forcing it down more. You're,
Totally. So what you want to try to do, is when you're picking, be nice and relaxed. If you're nice and relaxed, you're not going to get many of those unintentional notes. And typically tension is what's going to, when you think about your tightening up, the tightening up of your hand is what's going to give you those accents, right? And accents are amazing, we're going to get into it, but not always on downbeats. Anyway, so when you're practicing, I just did 8th notes, right? Maybe let's try to do 8th notes together on an A minor pentatonic scale real quick. 2 and 3 and 4 and nice and consistent. And we'll repeat this. Go back down. Nice. Okay, I'm going to slow the tempo down. Let's do triplets. 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet. And we'll repeat that top note. And we'll slow that tempo down even a little bit more. Do 16ths. So 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and crushing it. So ideally, one thing that would be nice is if you could find a tempo. So I think everyone sounded really beautiful and comfortable at that tempo for 16ths. So and 2 E and 3 E. So what I would do is when I'm practicing this, I'd actually probably keep the metronome the same for all 3. Like I wouldn't change the speeds. I'd have, okay, if this is where I'm comfortable playing the fastest one, well I'll go 1 E and 2 E and 3 E to. So you can kind of hear the difference between those rhythms by having the metronome or your beat stay the same. Does that make sense? So, super boring exercise. so valuable. Feeling the grid is like, I think, again, like, I don't know if everyone was here when I was talking about it, but I was saying, like, if we just think about blues cats for a second, like Stevie Ray Vaughan and B.B. King. So, a lot of the time they're playing from the same pool of notes, but what's the big difference? Phrasing and time feel. So like B.B. King might do a, whereas maybe Stevie Ray Vaughan would take those same notes and present it differently. Same group of notes, same pool of notes. Nothing changes about what notes are being hit unless you're getting into like exotic jazz cat, right? But like those blues players, it's how they present those notes. Anyway, so everyone feeling good about 16ths, 8ths, and triplets? Any questions so far? Oh man, we're crushing it. Okay, cool. One thing I want to talk about, this is like getting into a little bit more complicated rhythm, but let's say I've learned a lick. This is like something that like changed my phrasing. So there's something called a clave. Have you guys ever heard of a clave before? It's also an instrument. It's like these wood sticks that you bang together. But essentially it goes 1, 3, 4, 1, and if you play that style of music, that's the beat. It's not this anymore. It's That's what's internalized. And it's funny because what you can start to do is like, let's just say I take that phrase. So, da, 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 da. One kind of cool exercise that I like to do is take a rhythm and start to subtract notes from it. So you're thinking of a rhythmic phrase and it's inside of you, just like how, like if you're listening to blues music or whatever, you have that but you can do it with any phrase. So if I go like this, what I'm going to start doing is I'm just going to start picking notes from that phrase. I'm not going to play all of them. So, and you can feel everyone's kind of like, Cool. Like even if there's just two notes, that groove is highlighted because it's here. That's like one of the big things is like, this is a means to get music out. It's not the music, right? It's all here. So if you're thinking about something, again, even if I go, it grooves so much harder than if we go, I hope this is... If you have that kind of like, that internalized clave, the word clave means key, by the way. It's like a key to the groove. So like internalizing these rhythms. So like that clave, is one. A blues rhythm, and then just pick and choose what you play on. You don't get paid per note. You know what I mean? You don't need to play every note. So it's like, if you are playing that blues, can you guys hear how I'm going but I'm only playing like 3 or 4 of those I'm hearing them, but they're there. So if I start doing that with melody, start getting really cool phrases out of nothing but singing to yourself. You know what I mean? Rhythm, super important. Cool. Why don't we move on? Accents. What are accents in music? Are you guys hip on accents? Do you like using accents? You know what accents are? Okay, so check this out. So let's take the exact same exercise we were just doing. This like 8th note thing. 1 and 2, 3, and we'll still do it on that A or 5th fret of the D string. And here's where kind of having that knowledge of the grid is really important. So let's say what an accent is when we're going to start highlighting notes. So let's say on beat 2, I want you guys to squeeze your pick a little harder. So 1, 1, 3, 4, 1. Let's do the and of 3. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 2, and 4, and 4. Yeah. Let's go to 16th notes. Is everyone feeling comfortable with that? Yeah? 16th notes. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4. Let's do the and of 3. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E. Okay? Let's do the of 2. 1 E and 2 E and E and 4 E and nice. Yeah. Great. Let's do beat 1, the and of 2, and 4. 1 and of 2 and 4. Okay? 3 E and 4 E and 1. I'm gonna count this again. 3, 4, 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and okay, you guys are crushing it. So accents, I think, are the difference between a mediocre line and a brilliant line. So let's take it a line it for an example here. So if I go like this. That's not really anything crazy, right? We all know where that's coming from, right? It's that A minor pentatonic. I'm just going. So now, how can we make it sing a little bit more? Again, guitar is such an expressive instrument. I find like the majority of work that I do for other people is not having anything to do with playing crazy notes as opposed to highlighting the notes correctly. So like, let's do this. So that, what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 notes. If I highlight the first note, if I highlight the second note, third note, fourth note, fifth note, and I'll highlight the last one. Can you guys hear how that's like 5 different phrases almost? Like they all sound. Same notes, but those accents are really going to be what makes it start to sound brilliant, especially when we don't think of just one accent. Let's go this. I'll go. So you can hear how we start to get a little bit of that musicality coming through, and that's on one phrase. So if I was to approach maybe like actually blowing over this for a second. There's different like velocities, I guess, or different, every note is different. That's like the bread and butter of guitar. Really, like if you take any phrase, like I challenge, like, is it cool if I just maybe pick one of you guys real quick? Show me, can you show me a lick that you usually hit? Perfect, that one. Okay, accent only the first note. Accent the second note. Accent the third note. Fourth. Perfect. So now check this out. I want you to play lead. It's just that exact same phrase over and over. Every time, accent the next note. Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah, it's all good. Yeah, yeah. Okay. And now next. Third.
Oh, God.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Last one. And then first one again. So, like, how musical does that sound?
Yes.
Like, it sounds so musical, and we haven't done anything related to notes. We haven't changed anything. So it's like... Anyway, so now, let's do another one. Do you have a phrase? Doesn't matter what it is. Can be anything.
Sure.
Woo. Perfect. Okay. Accent the first note, and make it even make it a dramatic accent. Like make me go oh. Nice. Second note. Yeah. And now I'd even try to be more dramatic, like for that last one. Sorry. You know what I mean? Like right now, while we're getting into the habit of things, be over dramatic, because it'll be easier to dial it back than to add more pizzazz. So. You know what I mean? And it makes that line sit different. Can we try it one more time?
Sure.
Yeah. 2, 3. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I know this stuff seems so simple, but it's like, can you imagine how, if that's just one line, if you did your entire solo and you organized it in terms of where your accents are, it's going to make like a world of difference. And then again, if we're thinking about like B.B. King, like check this out. If I do that, like that lick that you were doing, B.B., right? So that lick doesn't sound like B.B. King to me. This, but this does, right? when you put a little bit of like oh into that last note, that gives you that beaty thing, right? And it's the same with like if we think of I'm trying to think of like a Stevie Ray Vaughan like that kind of thing. Where can you, and don't even think about like, don't worry about being like, oh, it's the second triplet. Like, where in that phrase, beginning or end, do you hear the accent? Yeah. Is that intensity, right? And that's one of like the isms of Stevie, right? And it's like, you don't necessarily need to play a Stevie Ray Vaughan lick. You just have to kind of go, okay, well, one of the things that he does is he plays with intensity and ferocity, so if I accent more notes, that'll give me that kind of sound. Or like, if I was to take a different example, maybe let's go a little bit more into the jazz realm. If I was like playing over an E major chord, or a D major chord, if I go like, again, check this out. Doesn't sound like jazz at all, right? But check this out. As soon as you start putting accents in, that's when we start getting that jazz tone where we're starting to put those accents on. Let's do this. We're going to take this exercise. I didn't think we were going to kind of get here, but you guys are crushing it so hard. What I want you to do is on each beat, hit a different accent in terms of down or up. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and. So can you hear I'm doing down on one beat, up on the next? You guys can hear that? Let's do this for a second. Before we take it to a scale, let's do it on one note again. So 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1. Okay, perfect. Let's do down on beat 1, down on beat 2, up on beat 3, up on beat 4. 1, 2, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 4, and 1, and 2, and. So that would be. Even that, okay, let's just talk about that for a second. We started with this. Check out how much more musical this is. Now we have a groove on one note, right? So again, when we start to approach, can you hear all the different volumes in notes? Those accents are going to be very important. Any questions about accents? Okay, perfect. Okay, cool. Examples of licks before and after accents. That's a check. We crushed that. Phrasing. So, like, if I'm playing a blues, can you play an A blues for me here?
Like that, just shuffle.
Yeah, that's great. So check this out. Would you guys want to hear a concert of that? Yeah, totally. Like, but it's like almost like it's aggressive. Like, think about it like a conversation, right? So, imagine if each one of you guys walked in, and I was like, "Hey, how you doing? My name's Barry. It's nice to meet you. How are you? Hey, what do you like? I'm just kidding. I'm not gonna actually listen. You know what I mean? I'm just talking at you guys. That's what that kind of playing is, right? And it's kind of ironic because I literally am talking. But you're free to interrupt at any point. But when you're playing, and like that's obviously like such a dramatic example. Like a less dramatic example would be like, can you do that one more time? So even though I'm not now being like super dramatic about it, can you still feel that fatigue?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's the same thing as a conversation. So one of the biggest things that now we've got kind of this this thought of, okay, we've got all these different rhythms we can hit. We have these accents we can start to hit. I also want us to start thinking about adding space in, right? So if we're doing that blues thing, Accent. Right? So what I'm doing is I'm saying something, and then I'm giving a little bit of time for people listening to be like, okay, and then you can hit them again, right? So now let's also think about, when it comes to phrasing, I'm talking about conversations, right? So in a conversation, you're not talking with yourself, right? So typically there's some sort of thing that somebody forwards, maybe a question, and there's a response. And this is like such a classic blues thing, but again, you can use it anywhere. So like, check it out. If I do this, a lick here, so if I go, that's my question. Then what I want to do is I want to put a little bit of space in, and then maybe I'll do an answer. You guys hear how it sets up a little bit of tension? Dun, dun, dun. Dun, dun, dun. Another question. You guys hear that? Cool, okay, let's do this. Play me a lick.
No,
Anything.
Skip me.
No, oh, you sure?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Play me a lick.
We gotta hear it, but okay. On the command.
Great. Something like that, right? So then, if I go, see how there's a question and response?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and it doesn't need to be like, I'm kind of going blues because the blues is kind of a nice little framework to learn. Yeah, you know what I mean? There's like, it can be as advanced or as simple as you want. So like, do you mind hitting me with a lick?
Sure.
Ooh, okay, perfect. So now put some space in there and kind of think about how you can put a little bit of an exclamation point at the end of your next lick. So, so that could be our question. I didn't play exactly what you played, but then how could we do a phrase to respond? Yeah, okay, now put them together. Nice, a little bit of space. And then, yeah, amazing. Now, do the same thing, but throw an accent, a real aggressive accent at the end of the second phrase. Yeah, okay. Do you guys hear the blues start to come up there? And it's as simple as doing this. And hitting it hard, right? That's amazing. So that question and response, let's just take it away from blues for a second, just because we're doing a lot of blues. So if I was doing more of like a soul example, we'll just still stick to A minor. So if I was going like, can I get you to give me a question? Perfect. Now how do you answer it? Perfect. So that is incredible. Now here's another way that we can do it too. Check this out. So let's kind of, I like that phrase. Let's do this. Let's put a space in the middle of that phrase. So again, it's not about coming up with 1,000 ideas. And I get like, take all of this with a grain of salt because I'm just a dude. Right? But it's like all the licks that you can do, what I would say is like way more beneficial for your time of making melodies is instead of trying to come up with 100 different ideas, have like 20 licks that you can play 5 different ways. Yeah, 5 different ways. I was like, oh no. So like maybe I'll start at the top of that phrase. So I did the same phrase but backwards, right? Is that a couple notes? Maybe I'll do the same phrase in triplets. Triplet. Maybe I'll do them in 16ths. On the end of the maybe I'll do them in 8th notes. 2 and 3 and 3 and same phrase, right? It's the same phrase presented all these different ways, and then you don't need to like. I always found that I was thinking that there's a secret of like, oh man, there's just this thing right out of my reach that I can't do because I don't know the perfect note to put in it. And a lot of the time, what I've been finding is it's again not the note that's missing; it's the putting the note forward. You know what I mean? So like again, so we've gotten a couple exercises so far just to go over them. One thing I'd encourage everyone to do is throw a metronome down, and it might seem very simple, but it's not, because it's not about being able to do it, it's about having it internalized. Having a metronome, playing your 8ths, playing your triplets, playing your 16ths. Then the second exercise, we were talking about accents, so being able to, like for example, if I'm playing 16ths, able to play any accent. You know what I mean? Because again, that makes this sound interesting. And imagine if I'm going. Now, this pentatonic scale, which is like notorious amongst guitar players as being the thing that everyone can play, is presented in a way that sounds cool. Do that. So that's the first exercise, getting those 8ths, 16ths, triplets. Second exercise, being able to accent any one of those things. The hardest for me is triplets, like going triplet, triplet, triplet. Oh, like, see, I even messed it up. Triplet, triplet. Like that blows my mind. I've always found that to be very difficult. But if you can do that, then your phrase is using those. That turned this into this. Ain't it interesting? You know what I mean? I find like when I'm I'll just tell you guys how I'm feeling right now. I feel like because I'm putting this stuff out, it doesn't feel very glamorous. Like none of it is like, yes, now that you know this, go into the world and be amazing players. It's like this is stuff that like requires work, but I like guarantee you, it's going to, if you put work into onto this stuff, it'll be way more fruitful than if I was like, here is crazy exercise on how to shred. You know what I mean? It's one of those things where this can contribute to that. You know what I mean? Like this stuff can get you there as well, but it can also help with your blues playing. It can help with jazz playing. It can help with country play. Like a great example is if I'm doing country and western. Like if I was doing, like let's say, like a. So I'm just taking something like that. If I was soloing over that. Am I playing da 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 da? No, and that's what makes it interesting. Not the fact that I'm going. If I do the same thing, it doesn't sound as good, right? But you can get as complicated, as into it as you want, or it can be like a little like chill thing that you bust out to warm up your hands before you play the other stuff. Great. Tension and release, we talked about that, right? Space, we talked about that. Feeling really good. Focus on building phrases from existing lines. That's, yeah, like, one note on that actually is like, do you guys ever like transcribe music? Or maybe transcribe is a very fancy word. Have you guys ever learned a line from a guitar player before? So like, okay, like, here's the first one I ever learned. You guys know that, right? So here's something that's kind of neat, is what chords does that lick happen over top of? Can you guys?
A minor, right? And then,
all A minor?
G?
So this is the thing that's cool, is break it into micro licks. So this is a nice A lick. Say that again?
That's all the A.
Yeah, totally. And then G. So now if I, check this out. Let's just think caveman approach here. So if I play this here, this lick was 2 frets up, right? So if I'm playing that chord, wherever I play that chord, you just need to relate it back to where you first learned that lick. You know what I mean? So and that's actually, you know what's hilarious is, I don't know about you guys, but when I first learned that lick, that note always made me go, where's that coming from? I don't know, do you guys ever think that? Because like, if you look at it, it's a pentatonic scale, but then when you go here, it's like, what is that?
Why is that there?
And, yeah, because it's landing on the F. So check this out. Contact is everything. Let's say I was going, this is going to sound so crappy at first because we're so used to stairway, but let's go. So, are we going to hit an F there at the end of that lick if I'm changing chords? What chord is this? C. So what if I go to a C instead? So. Okay, let's do like a really weird chord. What's a weird chord that we could put in there? What about, I don't know, a jazz chord? And then let's just think, pick a finger. Second finger. This note right here. Okay, so. That could be the same thing, right? Whoa, okay, let's do this. That's super weird. I'll hit that, okay? Can you play that for me? A minor, G, and then E flat minor, sus kind of deal. You know what I'm talking about? 2, 3, yeah, 4. You hear how it's weird, but does that fit? 100%. Yeah, totally. So it's like, that's why I think it's important to not just learn a lick, but learn contextually where it fits, too. It works. Like, I don't think there was one example where I was like, oh, that's terrible. But the thing that's kind of nice is what if I altered that phrase so that it worked over each one of those chords? So, can you guys hear how each one of those phrases is now fitting the chords a little bit better? And now one thing, just because while I was playing it, I was like, oh, this actually sounds pretty good. Like because I think anything will work. It's just about like doing it because it's your intention, as opposed to it's the only thing you can do. You know what I mean? So now, when I was first checking out chord tones, I remember being totally intimidated and hating it because I was like, well, this is going to be something that I'm never going to wrap my brain around because it's like I'm going from learning this scale and putting it over everything to having to play individual chord tones. But there's a way that I kind of think about it that I think makes it a little bit easier. So we're all familiar with the blues, right? So our 1 chord is our A. Our 4 chord, in this case, would be our D. And our 5 chord would be an E, right? So when I started to approach chord tones, I remember being really intimidated because I was like, well, how will I ever start to approach those things? And what I would do is, and what I'd suggest, is if you're intimidated by it and you want to get a little bit more into the changes, what I want you to try to do is literally just look at the chord and choose something from that chord. So I'll give you an example. So this is our first chord, right? So let's take the middle finger note. So when we play this chord, this is the note we have, right? So over top of this chord, I want you to hit a pentatonic lick that ends with that note. So let's just hear, don't even worry about ending on that note. Can I just hear a pentatonic lick? Perfect. Yeah. Great, and you added it in there. Can you guys see where that note happened? Check it. And then, that's all in the scale, right? But then we go, and where's that note coming from? The scale, right? Okay, cool. So now check this out. So now when I go to here, let's pick a new note. Perfect. Okay, so now, yeah, perfect. And then when I go back to here, what about when I go to this chord? Yeah, great, that's the third again, right? Okay, so now we have a rule. When we're on our 1 chord, let's hit this fret. When I'm on that D, we're going to hit this fret. And when we're on the 5, we're going to hit this fret. Cool? So 3 notes. Boom. 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 So if I was just play blues, let's just do this. Let's do quarter notes. Just going. It's going to sound so boring at first, but it'll progress. So now I'm going to go to the next one. So now go to this. Back to the first one. 3, 4. And we'll go to the 5. Yeah. Cool? Okay, so now let's go. So if I'm going. See what I'm doing, guys? And then I'm going to go to this next one. You can hear where that change happens, right? Now listen for the 5. So here's a cool example. I'm not going to go by any specific rhythm, but I want you guys to tell me if you hear the chord change. So. You can hear it, right?
Yeah.
So, and we didn't really go into theory at all. That's the thing. We just went, okay, this is one, this is another one, this is another one. So now, let's go a little bit more out there. Why don't we do, let's do, so we're just going to do that same chord here and here. Cool? So let's do this. What can we? Let's just throw some scales at me. What scales can we play over this? What do you think? A minor pentatonic.
A minor, and then you just.
Well, what's another option that we could do over that A? A major pentatonic. A major yeah. So why don't we just do this? Quickly, before we do that, does everybody know what a relative major and minor is?
Yes.
You guys? And do you know how to do like major pentatonic versus minor pentatonic?
Just give me a quick one on that one.
Yeah. So this is like the coolest thing. Is pentatonic scale, the major and the minor is the exact same shape. So if you want a minor sound, all you do is you take the shape and you put your first finger on the root. So if we're playing an A minor, yeah. If I'm playing an A major though, do the exact same shape, but with your pinky on the root. Yeah, exactly. So if I'm going like this, you can go. And then check this out, guys. So that's like a weird chord. It doesn't technically fit, right? But what did I do to make it fit melodically? I just took that shape. Yeah, take that note. So now we have this. And this note. So see what I'm doing? Does that make sense? The scale isn't changing. What is changing? The note we're resolving onto. Right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Dope. I want to know what were you guys chatting about just now?
Oh, just the majors and minor relativity.
Oh, dope. Yeah. And the thing that's nice is that it works with everything too. Like every one of the question. Do you guys know all of your pentatonic shapes?
Only the minors.
Only the minors. Well, no. You know all the majors then.
Yeah. So,
Which is dope, right?
So what were you saying about that? I guess I kind of missed that.
Yeah.
So you go to the your pinky to the root.
Yeah.
How
So
does that work?
so like the pinky is kind of like a nice little cheat sheet. But what you'd want to think about is whatever your shape is minor,
Right.
you would go 3 notes up for the major. So 3 frets up. So like let's say you want to play, I'm saying let's play C major. So if I'm playing C major,
Right.
all you have to do is you just need to take your pentatonic shape, and if your pinky is on the C now,
Right.
well that would give us A minor.
Yeah.
So all of your A minor shapes will work in C.
Right.
So like, check it. So our A minor pentatonic shapes. So now if I do a C, it's that A minor thing, but now it's a C major sound because of context. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like if you know one, you can kind of transmorph them over top of each other. Okay, so cool. So getting into chord tones. Does anybody have any questions? Let's kind of just open this up to questions about, like, is there anything you guys are working on at the moment, playing at the moment, that you think you could get help with in terms of what to play over top of it? I know I don't know about you guys, I always have something that I can't play.
There's plenty of stuff I can't play.
Yeah. So in terms of like, let's say we were at a jam, let's take it from this perspective here. And if there aren't a ton of examples, I still have a ton of stuff we can go through. But let's say we're at a jam. Is there something that if someone busted out, you'd be uncomfortable playing? And what would that be? And then maybe we could explore and maybe get you guys to feel a little bit less uncomfortable with it. Can you guys think of any examples?
32 bar standard.
Well, that's just, you gotta shed that hard, you know? But actually, we can be serious about that for a second. So like, let's say, we could maybe let's just take a couple minutes to go just through changes that are a little bit more complicated. So like, let's take something that maybe is kind of strange. Like maybe 2 chords that don't typically go together. Like what if we did... actually, okay, yeah, this will be perfect. Let's take that Lenny stuff for a second.
Oh,
So,
yeah. Nice.
we'll just loop those 4 chords. So just as a quick heads up, it's B major to D major.
B to D.
Yep. To G to B flat. So the thing that's kind of weird about it, pardon me? B, yeah, or and then it goes to A, is how you get out of the section. But we'll just link that B flat. So B, D, G, B flat, B. I'm just using that as an example because it's like something we were chatting about earlier, but also it's an example of chord changes that if someone played that at a jam, I'd be like, what do I do? So what can we do? Do you guys have any thoughts of how would we approach that if I was to bust that out? Yeah.
Just look to see what note your pinky was on. So I know where to go with that chord.
Yeah. So
It's the one we did earlier. but
oh, it's all good. It's
that's the pinky.
yeah. Let's go through that chord real quick because it's a beautiful chord. Yeah. You just bar across the 6th fret from the A string down, and then you put your middle finger on the E string at the 7th fret. Yeah. And then your ring fingers are going to go on the 7th fret of the B string. It's like a jazzy chord. And then you're going to put your pinky on the 8. It's really nice.
Where you play just major 7th.
It's like, yeah, but it has that 6 in there.
Oh, you play. Are you on the B?
Correct. Yes, yes. And originally I was playing it like this, but when you put that pinky there. Anyway, so let's all get on the same page here. So we're playing that B, and then we go to a D, and then we go to a G. These are all the same shapes, and we go to a B flat. So how we can approach this stuff is, again, let's take that, I keep on calling it the caveman approach because it's like, this is what it looks like, therefore that's what I can use, you know what I mean? So like, let's just do this for a second. Pick 2 of my fingers.
First and second.
First and second. So I've got this, and I've got this, right? So, phrasing. Phrasing is what makes it beautiful, right? So, by rhythmically playing around with it, we can fake our way through it. You know what I mean? The other thing that you could do is, like, if you know what type of chord it is, so like a major. Has anybody ever worked on arpeggios here? We were kind of chatting about it earlier.
A little bit.
Yeah. So this is like stuff that I think like would be best if I just like sent a PDF. But so like if maybe what I'll do is like at the end, if you guys want to like hit me up with questions, send me emails. I'm totally cool with that. I've got a bunch of like references. But what I would like maybe recommend is taking a look at different sorts of arpeggios. So all an arpeggio is it's just taking a chord and it's boiling it down to what notes will sound perfect in it. You know what I mean? So for example, it's just like a scale. Just like how this is a scale. An arpeggio is just... So check this out. If I go... this is the same chord, I can take that same shape and move that around as well. Now, does it to me, and it's not going to hurt my feelings, it kind of sounds lame right now to me. Why does it sound lame right now, though? Well, no, it's because I'm not phrasing anything, right? So what were we talking about? We were talking about grid, so different ways we can approach the rhythm. We were talking about accents, we're talking about space, right? So instead of going like this, I am a jazz robot, I play like this, and I like to do this one too. We can go. Space. You know what I mean? Like, and that automatically made it sound like, oh, now there's some meaning and emotion behind this, right? Whereas before, and it's funny because I was catching myself. It's not like I was like, yes, I provided the perfect example for all of you. It's more as I was playing, I was like, yeah, it doesn't really sound that great when I'm doing that. So it's like, what you want to try to do. Saying? And it's like, I understand that we might not all know this shape right away, but does the concept and the idea make sense? How I'm just taking one thing and I'm moving it around, and I'm not changing that one thing, I'm changing the way I'm presenting that one thing. I think that's like, kind of like, if you were to take something away today, it'd be like that you guys all already have the tools that you need to be wicked players, and you're all wicked players already. It's just how do we take that stuff that you already have and be able to get musical mileage with it. How do you get the most amount of mileage from it? So the last little bit of like stuff I want to show is, unless anyone, are there any more like examples? Did that answer a little bit of?
I'm sorry. I was mostly being facetious.
Yeah.
In this context.
Yeah, of course.
But
Of
I
course.
do have a question about those changes.
Hit me.
Afterwards, maybe.
Okay.
But I can
Yeah, hit
ask
me.
now
Yeah.
if you.
Hit me.
Where are those coming from?
This is coming from a tune called Lenny.
No, I know, but
Oh, I
how
see.
do they fit together? Because
Yeah.
me going up the major or the flat 3, and then we're going
Ooh, yeah.
the
So,
4.
quick answer is it's borrowed chords. So borrowed chords are like, yeah, I think we should chat about it later.
'Kay.
But like the idea of a borrowed chord is that like you can put in like how there's a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, a 5 chord. You can actually take chords from other keys and start to put them in. So like a good example is like you know the song, what is it, Creep?
Creep by Radio.
Yeah. Instead of a E minor, they'll have like an E major. And you have to go like, oh, where does that come from? And it actually comes from a parallel key starting on the same note.
And then when
That's
it
where that
finishes,
stuff is coming
doing
from.
the major to minor at the last part.
The
it's
minor
borrowing
chord.
again.
Totally. Yeah, so that stuff is coming. How I guess I would think about it is this is in the key of A,
Temporarily like modulate.
and then when you go to C, you're kind of like in the key. I guess you could think like I hear it as a Lydian sound, right?
Yeah.
So then you'd think, well, what is Lydian?
Right.
C. C Lydian would be G major. But let's talk about it after.
Yeah.
Because that's a really great question.
Okay.
Anyway, last thing I want to talk about is how to get more ideas out of a scale without necessarily talking about phrasing this time. Like, let's just do some straight up how to get cool licks out of a scale. Okay, so A minor. What I want you guys to practice, and this is any scale. So just use this as the framework of practicing the scale. Start on the bottom, and what I want you to do is on each string, go up to the next note horizontally. So if I go like this, the next note of that scale is this, but where is it on the E string? And what I want you to do is go and try to make it the smoothest movement as possible. So like, yeah, so in this case it would be 5, 8, and then you slide up to the 10, and then you go back down. So then, quick question, if I go to the next one, where's what fret would the next note be on this string? Yeah, so 10. So, yeah, so now we have this. Next one would be the on the G string, what's the next note on the G string? What fret? After the 7? 9, so, and then we have, so it'd be 5, 8, 10, 8, 5, and then same thing on the E string. So then we get this. Now the reason that's important is because I find that I run out of runway when I'm learning scales, and what can kind of happen is we can start to go like this. Oh, I'm out of licks there. Oh, I'm out of licks there. Oh, I'm out of licks there. But if you learn it like this, so now let's do the exact same thing but down. So if I go like this, go to the 3. Next one. Yep, so this next one will be 5, 7, 5, 2, 5. Oh, sorry, 3, 5. Oh no! Yeah, exactly. Gotcha, guys. Okay, so let's get on the same page here. Sorry. So 5, 8, 5, 3, 5. Everyone got that? 5, 7, 5, 3, 5. 5, 7, 5, 2, 5. 5, 7, 5, 2, 5. Everyone feeling good so far? 5, 8, 5, 3, 5. And then 5, 8, 5, 3, 5. So now we have this. And then, when it gets really cool, is if you do both. Let me get that one cleaner. So now, not only do you have access to above, but you also have access to below, and you can start to hear where your phrase is. Like a good example is like if I went like this. I don't want to go like this. It doesn't feel smooth, but check this out. So you know that logical slide point. You know what I mean? So that's one kind of thing. Does that make sense, that concept? And you could do it with anything. So like, if we wanted to get a little bit crazy, and we did a major scale, if we went, you could go. Chromatic is also very cool. You can get like some very exotic, like. You know what I mean? Yeah, yeah, totally. So like, just experimenting with slides and articulations. That would be what I'd say like the next thing to do is, and you can do that with every one of your shapes. So. You know, it starts to give you like cool ideas. And then one other kind of cool thing to do with scales is to put them in groupings. So I'm sure everybody's heard like. Does everybody know what that is? Yeah, so basically what we're doing is we're taking this scale and we're doing the scale, but what we're doing is instead of thinking about it as at one note at a time, what we're doing is we're thinking this is where we're starting and we're going to go 4 notes down. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then the next part of the scale, here, you go 4 notes down. 1, 2, 3, 4. Next part of the scale here, 4 down. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
You hear that so much.
Yeah.
You hear that so much.
It's like such a smooth thing. But this is the thing. Any number works. Say it again.
The 3's on.
Yeah, totally. So,
Oh, nice.
Eric, anyone like Eric Johnson? Or what about Eric Gales? Do you guys know Eric
Oh
Gales?
yeah, killer.
Dude, the move that Eric Gales and Eric Johnson do is 5s. So
Yeah.
instead of going 4, they go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Have you guys, like, I'm sure you guys have heard that.
Yeah.
If you, like, listen to Eric Johnson, that's like, it's in Cliffs of Dover. It's in, like, all the, like, Eric Gales, like, when he's starting to really, like, pick up. Like, he'll be, like, doing stuff like, like that kind of stuff. except way better and way cleaner. And upside down, yeah. But it's like, but then this is the thing though, is like, again, musical mileage. So what we just did is this. Well, the 5, groups of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But it doesn't end there, right? Because you can do that in every position. And then you could even go. So now I'm starting to combine everything. And then you start to get like real nice kind of shreddy licks. But again, it's all about, like, it's not coming from nowhere, and it's not like this divine intervention of like, I just played this lick one day. It's like, there's a very logical step-by-step process of getting to it, and all it is it's just thinking about your phrasing, thinking about like, what are some more ways that you can approach notes and approach phrases, and then when you start to put them together, that's when things start to get a little bit funner. You know what I mean? It's no like one giant step. It's just a series of little steps that are actually very manageable and realistic to take. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if there's. Yeah, like. The one last thing is like that concept works with everything too, right, guys? So like if I did it with a major scale, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. That kind of stuff, right? That's like the exact same thing. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. Like, so a lot of those kind of like cool. I learned that from Joe Pass. I don't know if you guys are into Joe Pass at all. He's a really ripping jazz player, but he would do stuff like that all the time. Just like spouting other things off. Maybe last thing would be like skipping a note. That's another really nice thing.
Yeah.
Is if you take a note and then you skip a note and go, let's take a major scale, instead of going like this. One thing that's really nice is going 1, 2, 3. So. That's really nice for like if to put in the middle of phrases. So like. And again, it can happen in 16ths, 8ths, or triplets. Oh yeah, I guess I should say thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate it. Yeah, and for real, if anyone wants to pick my brain or anything afterwards, like tonight, or if you want to send me an email or anything, I can give you my email, or whatever.
Sure, that'd be great.
Great.
Sounds good, man.